as a GMD for NNPC. And within a space of 5 years, he changed all of that. Privatized it, appointed themselves as CEO, this and that, all of them as, you know, they are like the board of directors for these new companies created with shares. You get what I mean? Like NNPC is a parastatal setup trained by Nigeria to manage everything that has to do with oil in Nigeria. But no, they privatize it. They share, they have shares to themselves. I say, how much is the NNPC here? We don't know. But guess what? Suddenly, NNPC, not NNPC, is now the one in charge of selling Nigeria crude oil. And for straight 5 years, there were times that they would not remit anything for months. In 2018, 2019, there were no remittances for a whole year. Nobody even cared. Nobody, it was like nothing. That was when Warri was like printing money, borrowing everywhere. And people were like, what about money from crude oil? Where is the money? They will now see, you will see it in the news. They will say, NNPC remits $870 million to the national cover. And they will say, this was the money from January, February, March, April, May, June, July. And that's it. Nobody probes anything. Nobody asks questions. They just move on. It got to a stage, this Kyari criminal. Actually, I think I remember better now. It was like people shouldn't be asking for the crude oil money anymore because they have already made a deal that Nigeria crude oil say the money from it is to be given to this their friends or oil importer. So there's no point in asking for how much crude oil they sold. This was how they ran under that Kyari guy. He called journalists, he called everybody, enough that they all went there to help him validate the scam. I don't know if you remember that of Port Harcourt. I think I have a copy of that.
We commissioned Port Harcourt Refinery. Prior to that, Dangote Refinery was producing. Now we are Warri Refinery, Area 1, which we understand is producing products, naphtha, fuel oil, and AGO. But when the next area comes on, it will be producing gasoline directly. It is important to note that this achievement has been enjoyed by Nigerian public because for the first time in more than a decade or 2 decades, we have had the Unitime, which is October, November, December, January years without fuel queues and fuel all over the country, not only Lagos and Abuja. So this is an indication of the determination of our leader, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his focus and determination by pushing both the regulator and the NNPC to ensure that this plan come on stream.
Nigerians are waiting, but I'm sure from tonight we will like the good news that we are ready and prepared to solve the market, the products that really. Very soon, importation of refined product will be of the past. In actual fact, we shall be in the position to start exporting.
This plan has 3 stages. We have started the plan 1, which is we call it Area 1, the fuels plant. It is able to produce AGO, kerosene, naphtha, and also a blend of fuel oil. And these are high-grade quality products that are required in the country, and we may also have a need to export them. So it's going to give us cash. This company will make money, and the promise of Mr. President that this country must be a net exporter of petroleum products is already happening. I must put on record that Mr. President's onerous belief that we can get this to work, that we can get these plans to start, and giving us the charge that you must start all 3 refineries. It's already happening. We have successfully started the Port Harcourt Refinery with 60,000 barrels per day on refinery. We have started the Area 1, the fuels plus Warri Refinery. The other plants that will produce PMS are being streamed and they will also come live.
I wake up with joy, with happiness. When I saw the production from the fire, you can see it.
Nuisance leleyi. Nuisance leleyi. Nuisance.
Did you hear that last Warri? I am filled with joy when I saw the refinery working from the first person to scam Nigerians and got away with it was this guy under Warri at Disirika when he told educated Nigerians, educated buffoons, intellectual morons, that he was starting a airline for Nigeria here. Educated mofos, they were everywhere. May Nigeria succeed. May Nigeria succeed. You enemy of Nigeria, you will see. You are always enemy of Nigeria when you call their attention to the obvious scam being pulled by these roads. And then when the truth comes out, the sewage dwellers, the crickets, they will suddenly disappear. And some of them will, the same them who are very, very loud, right? When you call the attention to the obvious fraud, because it's always obvious. Just ask questions and you realize that the whole thing is quite obvious. They are loud. Shut up your mouth. You this enemy of Nigeria. I know that you shouldn't be saying this thing about your fatherland. This is very sad. I understand that you don't like APC, but let us wish Nigeria well. The Olori Brukus last. Whenever the truth comes out, they will suddenly disappear. And if they manage to appear, it's Ashiri, Alpha. You don't buy your Nigeria year tickets. Oh my God! I mean, surely it is. Let me tell you something, my brother. See, honestly speaking, this country. Let us be honest. This country, now only God will save us. Nobody will save this. Honestly, But me, I like what you are doing. Oh, I like what you are doing. Oh, the way you are trying to educate. I like it. Oh, but it's just that me, I don't believe that Nigeria, this country, now only God will say, "Oh, you cool, Ashiri." But it's the only God to sing. So me share enemy Nigeria more. Me share any to wish Nigeria. I'm no longer the person that wanted. I mean, that doesn't want Nigeria to succeed. When I was calling the attention of everyone to what these rogues are doing. So now it is God that we now solve. You see this Nigeria, honestly, I'm tired. So you are no longer that loud. Hang on, even if you are tired, let's solve this. You called me enemy of Nigeria when I told you what these guys were up to. What did they tell you? What did they give you? What exactly did they remove from your brain that got you, despite all the evidence, that made you feel like I was just somebody who never wanted anything good for Nigeria? Now, 4 months after the whole charade, the truth is out. Kyari has been removed. Ojulari has been appointed in his replacement, in his place. Now, Ojulari now, from what we have heard, started sacking those who did all this scam with Abba Kyari. So what's going to be their fate? What's going to happen to them? Obasanjo was not spared, remember? They call, that one, the Savamo. But there's no name they didn't call Obasanjo. The same Obasanjo that left your refineries working 100%. I don't know if some of you know. The Obasanjo never paid subsidy. The same Obasanjo, he never paid any subsidy for any importation of what have you. Abi? Until he became popular, right under Yaradua, then Jolantan, and then towards it became a monstrous fraud under Warri. Obasanjo said that refinery, the refinery we've seen I built Amabi, I mean, I think it was the one who built it in 1970, 77, 76 or 78, I don't know. He said this thing they are saying about refinery working as scam. There's no name they didn't call it.
You talk about the refinery in your opening remark. I went, when I was president, I went and called Shell. I said, Shell, look, come and help us. Run the refinery. Take part. You can take 10%, you can take 20%, but come on. They say no. I say, okay, all right. If you don't want to take equity, come and run it for me. They say no. So they left. I then called their head one-on-one. I said, look, sit down with me. Why do you turn down? They gave me 5 reasons. One, they said our refineries are small. I think Port Harcourt is 60,000 barrels a day. And I think that's Port Harcourt. Kaduna is maybe 100. I think Warri is the largest, I think, maybe 120. And they said to me then that, look, refinery is about 250,000 barrels a day. So our refineries are too small. Two, they said, look, even we run our refineries as a service, but we make sure that we do not run it at a loss. But we make substantial part of our profit in the upstream. So, the refinery, if you run it well, you will break even and make a small profit. But if you don't run it well, you will run it at a loss. Three, they say our refinery, the way we have managed it, the way we have serviced it, is not the way that refinery should be serviced. So they don't want to get involved in that. Four, they said to me, the corruption around the refinery, they did not want to get involved in that. When they told me all that, I was completely numb. And then some Nigerians got together. They paid 750 million. I said, God has sent this one. My successor said, he turned it back. I ran to him and I said, look, you know this is not right. He said, well, NNPC said they can do it. I said, NNPC cannot do it. NNPC, I think you are investigating $1.5 billion that NNPC has spent on refineries since then, and the refineries will not work. But I told my successor that the refineries, from what I have heard and know, will not work. And when you want to sell it, you will not get anybody to buy it for $200 million as scrap. And that is the situation we are in now. So why do we do this type of thing to ourselves? NNPC knew that they cannot, but they knew that they can eat and carry on with the corruption that was going on in NNPC. And when people were there they put pressure. In a civilized society, those people should be in jail. Why do we do this to ourselves? And that is NNPC. Take anything. National Shipping Line, the story of it. Nigeria Airways, the story of it. Why do we do this to ourselves? You talk about the refinery.
That's Obasanjo. So the corruption continued, of course. Mele Kyari, Mike Antibaru, that one is dead now. That's the one that sold $25 billion worth of oil block licenses and took the check to Abakari in London when Bokwari was a vegetable in London Hospital at the time. So Mele Kyari would have to go and enjoy his loot, wouldn't he? There's this guy on a rise, Emmanuel, who was very, very clear on what was happening at the time. He was almost blacklisted, almost mobbed by the Ronukus, who wants you to just swallow it. This is a good news. It's a good news. Let us be happy. It's a good news. It was very
I'm not surprised.
Really?
I'm not surprised. I mean,
Why is that?
For months I have said that Warri, Port Harcourt, and Kaduna are never going to come back to operation. And what Nigerians were seeing on TV as commissioning was just a charade.
Wow.
Okay? On the 12th of August 2021, the former president approved, Federal Executive Council approved memos for, monies to be raised for the 3 refineries. Mm-hmm. For Port Harcourt, the FEC approved $1.48 billion. For Warri, they approved $897 million. For Kaduna, they approved $586 million. Total of $2.96 billion for turnaround maintenance. Money that can build a brand new 60,000 barrels refinery. Okay? The last of these 3 refineries was completed in 1989 by Shell. British Petroleum also started a chunk of it. So most of these refineries were actually built as very sizable modular refineries to produce LPFO and AGO to power the operations of the operators upstream. Mm. So they were not built to actually refine. So quite a number of them, Port Harcourt and Warri does not have a catalytic reforming unit, right, that can convert naphtha. Naphtha is the base compound. The first stage of refining from crude oil is naphtha.
Right.
So the naphtha is what you now use a reforming unit to process into higher distillates like premium motor spirit. Mm. Warri and Port Harcourt, right? Warri is 125,000 barrels. Port Harcourt, if I'm not mistaken, is about 110,000 barrels.
Yeah.
They don't have it.
Don't. But APC, they know that millions of Nigerians are gullible and being educated did not make any difference. Unfortunately, being educated even makes so many of them retards. So APC just run with whatever they dish out. They've got guys that they will send to the media to go and speak grammar to them, to go and paint pictures of this or that. You see, when months later, when you realize that you were lied to, those people, you won't see them again. Another set of people you will see who are going to begin to prep you again for another scam. You know what I mean? Where is, for example, you will begin to see people on TV now that will be saying, NNPC needs a true restructuring. NNPC, let me tell you something. You see that Ojulari was also with Mele Kyari when they are doing all this scam. So now Ojulari has replaced Kyari. So then you will see Ojulari's people will now go on media so that they can prep you again for another round of scam. So they will tell you, Ojulari is doing a wonderful job. He has been doing some bit of reform. He's been carrying out reform, and he has assured that Port Harcourt and the Warri Refinery, they are going to start work before the end of this year. Until prepare you again, like a clockwise. So people will begin to look forward to December. So because this is no longer Kyari, this is now Ojulari. So you see everything where Kyari take their eyes see, they will forget it right away. They say, this is a new person. I know this man. If you know this man, I know his family. His family, they are very responsible family in Kwara. I understand. See, this man has been, you don't understand. This man is the brain is getting here you get. Now we can set stage. Breaking news. Tinubu approved a $4.3 billion loan for the revampment, refurbishment, and upgrading to 21st century standard refinery, Port Harcourt and Warri Refinery. They won't go borrow money again with that. So that by 2027 or 2028, they go melek yari you again. We'll go back. We'll be back to the same thing again.